Hi everyone, welcome to the 2022 Sophomore Caucus Debates Part 2. My name is Vanessa Chen and I'm one of your BOE co-chairs, along with Raymond, who unfortunately could not be here today. We are joined today with 6 tickets. We're so excited. And also, behind the scenes moderating you is Callista. Callista will tell you the rules in a minute. All right, thank you for coming.
Hi everyone, welcome. Okay, so agenda really quickly, general questions, ticket specific questions, and then ticket to ticket questions, and then closing statements. So you guys we're gonna start from left to right, and then we'll switch up the order when we go to the next section. I'm gonna flash 2 hands up for when there's 10 seconds left, and you'll have a minute per question except closing statements and the first question. Any questions? Okay.
Before we start, I just have a reminder. Everyone, please project your voice. We want people to be able to hear you. Please sound confident. Good luck.
Yeah, okay, so Berk, Cyrus, you're gonna start first. Please introduce your ticket in 90 seconds.
So our ticket is Berk, Eyubov, and Cyrus Mahak, where we intend to make the daily life of sophomores easier by sort of making things more accessible and things more easier by like having policies which sort of make make the days easier for them. So we have policies of like having students come inside during their freeze. Because if you're outside and you may forget something inside, or it's very cold or very hot, you might want to go back inside and not be uncomfortable outside. So that's one of our policies. Another one is emotional counseling. If you aren't comfortable talking to a guidance counselor or someone who's not your age and afraid of the information getting leaked, then we have anonymous, confidential sourcing where we can help you out maybe. We're planning on doing some events as well. Basically it.
Okay, thank you. Next ticket, Liang Baerga. Sorry.
Hello, I'm Antonietta Baerga, and this is Collin Liang. Our ticket is the Liang Baerga ticket. My own personal qualifications that I feel I have some past experience with leadership. In middle school, I was a part of like the lead program in my middle school, which I feel is very similar to Caucus, since we organized a lot of events and basically help better the school for everyone.
So I'm Collin Liang. My main qualifications are from elementary school really because of the COVID pandemic. But our ticket is mainly about, we're focusing on communication as a general topic. We want to be able to reinforce the communication between the student body and the student SU. So we want to kind of be the middleman in that. Our big thing is making all of these like opinions and forums like that more accessible and available to you guys.
Yeah, and so basically, like Collin said, our ticket is really centered around communication. We really want to make sure that the student body has a say in what we as caucus presidents would do. And so just some examples of how we would want to better communicate with students. Some formal, like emailing, weekly emails with surveys.
Yeah, we kind of want to just use both formal and non-formal, and we're excited to run.
Okay, thank you. Olivia and Sally.
Okay, hi, my name is Salioudian, and I'm running with Olivia, Dogan, and we're the Dogan Berry ticket. My past experience running with leadership in middle school, I actually was the president of my 7th grade school, like similar to the SU, it was kind of student board, and essentially there I ran events and did various activities. Obviously it's middle school, and after that COVID hit, so I didn't really have all the time to admit the policies I wanted to do, but currently I co-direct a lot of clubs in Sky. I'm also a part of Stuyvesant's BSL, so I have a lot of experience working in teams and working with others. And basically what we want to do for Sky is not only do we want to create an environment that helps foster education and help students like just better themselves themselves in their daily lives. We also want to really introduce feasible policies that can actually be done. And yeah.
I'm Olivia, and I've also had quite a bit of leadership experience since 7th grade. I joined the student union of my middle school, and in 8th grade I actually founded my school's first Red Cross Club, and I tried to continue that sort of goal for myself by being a leader in Stuyvesant Red Cross Club. So I try to implement a lot of the skills and types of work I do in that club to better this school. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. You, Marcus?
Welcome, viewers on YouTube. You might know us by the name Zojo, but we do have real names too. My name is Zoey Marcus.
And I'm Josephine Yu. We are the change you want to see. Our campaign revolves around 4 pillars: efficiency, practicality, inclusion, and compassion. We have so many fun events and important policies to share with you guys.
From bathroom products to those darn escalators, a sophomore dance arcades, a prayer room, multicultural day, and more resources than you can possibly imagine, we've got you covered. Stay tuned and hopefully awake for the rest of this debate to hear more.
Okay, thank you. Xian, Ying.
Hello everyone, I'm Aditya,
And I'm Ying.
and together we are the Xian ticket. As the current freshman caucus co-presidents, we're experienced leaders who are determined to join again for Sophomore Caucus in order to create an even better year for the class of 2025. Then we'll now go into our 4 fundamental pillars.
So this year we are running under our 4 pillars with connection, advocacy, transparency, and service. So with connection and transparency, we want to put an emphasis on communicating with the student body as well as the SU and just the administration of the school. With advocacy and service, we just want to make the school a better environment for everyone in it. And we want to make sure that everyone's having a good year so far and enjoying school.
Okay, thank you. Last but not least, Aditya and Adrian.
Hello everyone, we are Adrian and Aditya, and we are the AA ticket. So a little bit about us. We are outgoing and energetic individuals who never hesitate to help those who are looking for change and who are looking for the betterment of our school. In addition, we have 2 main pillars, which are achievability and accessibility. So achievability. We prioritize what we know is achievable, and we know that we can constantly convince faculty to implement in our school that we know students would like to see and that would benefit students. But this means that we will still go for ambitious goals, but we will prioritize what we know we can achieve, and we will promise what we know is feasible. And more feasibility, our honor policies doc, which can be accessed through our Linktree or Instagram or Facebook. We provide exactly how feasible each goal is, how we wish to approach this, and how we think we will be able to convince faculty and administration of how we wish to go about these policies. In addition, the second pillar, accessibility. We wish to be approachable, and we wish to increase communication between students, teachers, faculties, and the caucus government. And we will do this by through several methods, including some of our policies which directly increase communication through forums and other methods. Adrian,
yeah, my name is Adrian. I think that we fundamentally want to offer a platform that has a very clear idea of what it's going to do going into this position, and also be able to grow throughout this year and deal with whatever new needs may arise for the sophomore class.
Okay, thank you. Your next question is going to have this question, and all the ones remaining you'll have 1 minute to answer. And the next question for Berk Cyrus is, what experience do you have and what encouraged you to run?
Well, for experience, Cyrus has been in the student government for 6th and 7th grade, I believe. I have some leadership experience at after-school activities for volunteership, where we initially teach people about things, sort of like a after-school program, kind of. So it's basically leadership skills, and Cyrus has student government skills as well.
Okay, thank you. Liang, Baerga.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I've had leadership skills in middle school.
Yeah, I was actually the class representative in elementary school for 3 years in a row. And then in middle school, I was in the National Honors Junior Society, But you get it. And then COVID pandemic hit, and I couldn't really secure any 7th or 8th grade positions.
Okay, thank you, Olivia and Sally.
We believe leadership experience is a really important part of our campaign, which is why we mentioned it earlier. And Susan did mention that she was president of her student government in 7th grade before COVID hit, and I created my own leadership position in 8th grade and continued that to 9th grade in the Red Cross Club.
And as for what we really bring and why we wanted to run in general, we want to foster, like I said already, a safe environment for everyone at Sty. We also really want to focus on this platform of actually doing feasible policies. And I think that the importance of that has to do with how Stuyvesant sophomores have to understand like the limitations that caucus has, and by communicating effectively and talking about how we're going to implement our policies, it makes us a safer ticket.
Okay, thank you. You, Marcus?
For me, in middle school, I was a co-founder of one of my school's only clubs, in which I was able to plan and organize many events like a small festival for Holy and a scavenger hunt for small AAPI businesses. And then currently at Sty, I co-founded a developing music club called the Stuyvesant Music Outreach League, and I've organized performances at nursing homes so performers can get service hours. And I'm also on the girls' varsity swim team and outdoor track team, and I'm a part of the Stuyvesant Pre-Medical Society. So aside from these like clubs, I just have a lot of experience in communicating with like people and knowing the student body.
And for me, in middle school, I was the leader of my school council, which means I implemented policies such as multiple people being allowed to go to the bathroom at a time. I planned school dances, and I surveyed the student body to make their voices heard. And that's exactly what we would be doing here. And here at Sty, I'm involved in various clubs such as speech and debate, STC, and I'm a web developer for Skype Online. I'm a naturally organized person, Josephine can attest, and I know how to set goals and put in the effort to achieve them.
Thank you, Xian Ying.
Finn and I are both very prominent leaders and have the experience to prove that we're leaders. For example, personally, I have 5 years of experience in the student union, such as being the president of my school last year in middle school, and being the co-president of Freshman Caucus right now.
So personally for me in middle school, I was involved with various clubs and teams. For our yearbook club, I was one of the editors-in-chief, and now currently at Stuyvesant, I'm a manager for both varsity girls volleyball as well as the boys track team. And also I'm involved with Indicator, Spectator, and the Red Cross. So I personally have lots of experience working in teams and leading others.
To go into our experience as Freshman Caucus co-presidents, we have the experience in order to lead a team as due to our experience this year, and then we have developed a connection with the administration as well as student union so that we can better communicate with them and communicate with the student body in order to develop our events and policies for Sophomore Caucus.
Thank you, Aditya and Adrian.
Yeah, I've been doing debate for 5 years, and I'm currently the top-ranked parliamentary debater on the East Coast, which I think brings a lot of important skills to the table here. Beyond that, I've also helped a variety of debate leagues, such as the New York Parliamentary Debate League and the Urban Debate League, create debate teams at new schools, so that brings experience with dealing with administrations in terms of not just going to the bathroom, but also just actually setting up teams, getting the funding for all of that. And I think Aditya brings up the student government experience we need.
Yeah, so I've been a leader to several clubs and governments. So in my middle school, I was a president for 2 years, and in this role, I made clubs and helped out to making policies and raising fundraisers. And I was also the graduation speaker of my middle school. And these skills, I believe, along with Adrian's debate skills and my speaking skills, allow us to be confident speakers who won't give up and can convince the faculty of passing our policies. In addition, I was a part of the Freshman Caucus this year and the events department of their Freshman Caucus, and I helped arrange some of the events that they mentioned. In addition, Adrian and I bring much to the table, and instead of using the average of our skills and experiences, we will find the sum and use that for the betterment of sophomores.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, what sets you apart from other tickets? Are there any qualities that make you uniquely suited for caucus president? Berk, Cyrus?
What sets us apart is we have many different policies, we plan different events than everyone else. We think that we would sort of make the sophomore please them, if that's the correct word. We would
thank you.
Once again, we want to turn back to communication. We actually want to listen to your own thoughts, and we want to make everything accessible to you. We're going to be posting on a bunch of different platforms, surveys, and ways for you guys to express your opinions to us. And our policies are really shaped around letting you guys decide on what we do.
Okay, thank you. Olivia and Sally.
So I know every ticket here is really dedicated and does have good intentions for the student body, but I think what sets me and Sally apart is that the first thing we do when we decide to run was find out exactly what the Sophomore Caucus's limitations were, which results means that every policy that's on our policy document is completely feasible and we know exactly how to implement them. So there's
And to sort of build up on that idea of feasibility in our policies, one of our 5 pillars are authenticity. And basically, when it comes to that, we feel like we're very authentic. And one of the reasons why we feel that way is because, right, like Olivia was saying, we have feasible policies that can be actually done, and that sets us apart from other tickets that might have bigger branch ideas and set those up, but not really promise them later on if they can be.
Thank you. You, Marcus.
Every ticket here is obviously very qualified and always has really good ideas, but I think the difference between Josephine and I and everyone else here is that we're actually always one step ahead of the game, and she will elaborate.
By this we mean like for a lot of our policies, like the escalator policy and the coming in during freeze when you're outside, is we've already started to talk to administration about this. Like we've emailed Moran about the escalators and what the problem is and what we can do in order to like achieve, like if one escalator is broken, the other is always going up. And we've also talked to the ID swiper people at the desk in order to, I guess, like resolve the issue of like students not being able to come back in.
We also have a multitude of events that we noticed are unique to our ticket, and we think that in order to be a better caucus, we need to not only implement the policies, but also be able to give you guys an amazing sophomore year experience, which means having really great events.
Okay, thank you, Xian.
What we believe distinguishes us from all of these other tickets is that we have number one, the experience. Speaking of experience, we were the freshman caucus co-presidents, as you mentioned, and that helped us to not only lead a team, not only be able to develop a connection with the administration so that we can better our events and policies, but also we understand the true limitations of caucus. We understand what events and what policies we are actually able to do, and from that, we are able to develop those and put them on a platform so that we have legitimate events and policies that we can push for in our sophomore year. Now, then we'll go into our chemistry.
So personally, Andy and I have known each other for 4 years, and not only as caucus presidents are we really compatible with each other, but we're also really good friends in personally. So the fact that we've known each other for this long means that we don't shy away from confronting each other about personal critiques that we have about each other's works. So that helps us openly communicate with each other and also our team.
Okay, thank you, Aditya and Adrian.
I think that what sets us apart is that we offer an extremely clear vision of exactly what we do if we were to go in. That being that not only do we offer a wide spectrum of ideas from these that are quite feasible to those that might be more outlandish in terms of their feasibility, but still important nonetheless. But I think that we also offer not only assessments of how feasible we think all of our policies are, such that anyone voting for us might know exactly what they could expect in this upcoming year. But also, I think that we offer not just a laundry list of complaints about, like, you know, random problems with the CSI and how we want to fix them, but rather more overarching themes that we think any caucus ought focus on. And as such, anyone voting for us would know exactly what we'd be focusing on for this year, even if we've exhausted all our policies, where we'd keep focusing on.
Yeah, and along with stating that we will have feasible goals and our policies are feasible, we've also provided explanation on how this is true and how we will approach these goals. In addition, the experience that we bring to the table, it branches out into government positions and debate skills that lead to us not giving up, to being confident speakers that can convince the faculty.
Thank you. The next question is, highlight some of your main policies that you hope to accomplish this coming year. Berk, Cyrus.
So we hope to accomplish allowing students to enter back in anytime during their freeze in case they forget something, or if it's not suitable outside. We also case they are not comfortable talking with a guidance counselor or afraid that their information will get leaked. And we also have escalator policies in which if one escalator is broken, the other one will automatically be switched to be going upward so that everyone will have an easier time going up, and the people that go down will just use the stairs because it's much easier to go down and go up.
Okay, thank you. Liang, Baerga.
We kind of want to break the mold, and we want to see the same problems that all the other tickets are looking at, but approach them in a different direction. For example, our homework policy doesn't look at solving loopholes, doesn't look at like reporting, but rather solving loopholes that teachers use in the first place. We want to actually incorporate your opinions in after-school events and funding and the like by open forums that you guys can use. We want to implement things like semesterly club fairs and collaboration with outside for like student discounts. Once again, we want to ask for your opinions on homeroom changes and after-school hours, and classroom rentals after school are something that we would like to look into.
Okay, thank you. Olivia and Sally.
Okay, so when it comes to policies that make us really stick out, one original policy that me and Olivia came up with was actually printing out a schedule change. And every time we have really like homeroom days and basically conference days, not everyone knows the exact schedule. So putting that up front in the second floor would be something unique and something that hasn't been done yet, and it would benefit everyone in the school and not just sophomores. It would make it easier for people going outside for lunch, not having to constantly look at their phone and open up the schedule on their own. And that's really a policy we have that sets us apart from the other tickets because, like I said already, it's completely original and no one has thought of it yet.
And another thing is that I know a lot of tickets and current caucus members do like to send students forums to see their opinions, but one main thing is that we're students and we know a lot of the opinions that everyone has, so we won't really bombard you with forums or anything because we're really
New Marcus.
Okay, so basically, we're going to start with events because we think that those are very important. Our first event would be Multicultural Day, where people can wear cultural clothing, cultural food, celebrate, learn dances, learn songs, and this would take place after school in the cafeteria. Another thing that we would be doing is caucus consults, which once a week we would, after having started the student body, we will talk about an issue that we feel needs to be discussed, and we might bring in some special guests or stuff like that. And also for stress management, because sophomore year is when everyone starts their APs and gets super nervous and can't deal with their stress. We want to get them Calm and Headspaces subscriptions, which is an app, and just like the New York Times subscription, we'll be able to provide students with these resources.
Thank you, Xian, Ying.
So one of our main policies for the upcoming sophomore year is to have study plans available for the entire student body. We understand that a lot of students struggle to have resources that are accessible for their classes. So we want to compile sort of a class-specific guide where they can find useful resources, including notes, videos, and other practices that will help them become more organized for their classes.
To add on to that, another major policy that we have is to bring in more plants into the school building, specifically to fill in the empty spaces on the 7th floor and replenish the small groups of plants that are slowly molting. There have been many studies proving that indoor plants that are brought in promote a healthier environment by improving our mood and keeping our minds happy. This will give us a sense of nature and belonging in the 7th floor biology, and it will also better the environment for students to learn more about these plants, how to take care of them.
Thank you, Aditya and Adrian.
I think that our policies go on from a wide range, whether they be some sort of like more overarching goals that would benefit all sides, such as, you know, homework for the week being posted at the beginning of the week, such that students can either get a head start on certain homework or at least be able to plan out their weeks in accordance with the amount of homework that they get, or setting up some sort of rooms which people can use for any like private needs they may be, whether that be prayer or otherwise, right? Beyond that, we also think that just the way we would internally structure our caucus, which is presumably the most achievable goal anyone can have, I think sets us apart as well. Not only would we select a cabinet from not just people we know, but from people who actually read and also did well as to represent the most of the class. We would also make our the applications for our caucus anonymous as to avoid any nepotism, and allow our caucus to be petitioned at any time by the entire sophomore class.
Yeah, and also we do have some similar policies to what Olivia was saying, like study guides and allowing students to enter middle schools. But we also have unique policies such as Adrian said, designated care areas, and we also have mental health days, which is designed to reduce the workload on students. So we aim to support the welfare of the sophomore student body.
Okay, thank you. And our last general question is, what policies do you have to address voter apathy? By extension, how will you get the student body to be more active in student government hosted events? Berk, Cyrus?
Well, for events, we know that some events that might be planned, people might not like them. So we can send out surveys for what people want to have. We can have majority vote be the selected events. So some people might not want to dance because they don't like dancing. So we can have like options like dances, carnivals, other options, and we would see who wants what the most, and we would choose that.
Okay, thank you. Liang, Baerga?
Like we said before, we want to be able to send out weekly emails with surveys asking people what they would want, what type of public events would interest them the most. Besides that, we would also like to use like some more informal ways of reaching out to students, like social media, like Facebook and Instagram, that just so students feel more comfortable with sharing their ideas, what they would like to have.
We want to make it more accessible, and we don't want to stick to just a formal email like we have seen recently. We want to be able to reach out to you, and we want to be able to see you in your normal time and not while you're working on school.
Thank you. Olivia and Sally?
So I and Sally absolutely do not want to bombard people with emails and Google Forms. So we actually found this wonderful platform called Idea Note, in which students can post different ideas and requests or issues they have about, like, whether it's about school or the caucus specifically, or just anything started in general. And the main thing about this platform, as opposed to anything else we've come across, is that students can bump each other's ideas, meaning that the most popular ideas will stay at the top, and that we don't force students to add their ideas during specific parts of the week, and just add something whenever they feel like it. And the most feasible ideas will be reviewed by us and actually sent to their corresponding caucuses, because we know that the sophomore caucus can't do absolutely everything, but we also know that the freshman caucus really likes to move events, and that the junior and senior caucus actually have power, so we'll be forwarding certain events to them so they can be implemented.
For voter apathy, we really want to actively promote voting and petitioning by surveying the students so they feel as if they are involved. And I think making them feel as if they have like a say, which they do, would help them be more involved in the government, and also be very active on social media to make sure that people know what's going on, whether it's important. And instead of what happened this year, where there would be an SU event and only a handful of students were interested in attending, we plan to allow you to make some real memories during actually fun events.
And we also plan to have like forums where people will, I guess, like rank choice like the events that they would like, because we know we can't do every single event that we have an idea for. So we would want to prioritize what the students actually want to go to.
Okay, thank you, Xian, Ying.
So to address the student apathy within the freshman population right now, we've noticed that our lack of communication from just like not sending out frequent emails has really taken a toll on the communication between us and the student body. So we want to be more timely with emails, as well as in-person promotions and just social media.
Yeah. To add on to Finn, what advice we actually got from the freshman body is that we've been actually not sending enough emails for the students in order to get a better gauge of the events and the policies that we've been working on. Thus, we would be more consistent, like Ben said, with our emails. And not only that, we will bring more physical interaction with the students in order to promote communication and address student apathy. For example, we're bringing posters around the school to advertise our events, and then also include more advertisements in the morning announcements so that more people together understand what policies and what events that we're working on.
Thank you, Aditya and Adrian.
Well, so I think beyond these just sort of events that I think everyone probably has, but we also think that by making the SU and the caucus more accessible, more people actually get interested in it because they don't see it as far removed from their student life. I think that we achieved that uniquely through our petition policy about how we wouldn't just accept petitions at the beginning of the year where people vote on one policy or whatever it may be. People can petition us at any time, and we undergirds this apathy, which is this sort of lack of school spirit that people get from these sort of problems that we continue to see at Stuyvesant, whether that be because you have 4 hours of homework a day and then struggle to find somewhere to pray the next day, right? We think that when someone has to deal with this on a day-to-day basis, then they then become less passionate about their school and what happens there. And I think that by solving these underlying problems, we then access higher voter interest in our policies and our caucus.
Yeah, so just to add on, we've already started reaching out to students, and what we've heard the most is that there was a lack of communication this year, which we wish to improve on, and that we would like to represent and communicate with the students.
Okay, thank you. We're now going to move on to ticket-specific questions. We're going to start from Adrian and Aditya this time, and we're going to ask each ticket one question, and then we'll do another round. So the first question to Aditya and Adrian is, how would you get teachers to post their homework assignments for the week?
Yeah, so most teachers already have their lessons planned out some teachers have it for the entire year, some have it for the month or for that specific unit, but many of my teachers already do this. They provide outlines and they provide resources in the beginning of the unit that students can use to complete their work for that unit. However, we want this to be for all teachers, and they can do this by providing the resources or the notes or the homework for that week on Google Classroom or on different calendars that students can use to access these files.
I think that another good thing about this policy is that it doesn't necessarily even rely on teachers knowing or wanting to give out to explain exactly what day they're going to assign a given homework break. That is, if a teacher knows that they want to get to something at some point of the week, they don't even need to say what specific day they get to it. I think as long as students have some idea of the homework they'll be getting from any class at any given day, right? And I think that teachers are probably willing to give a vague outline of their goals for that week. We think that nonetheless that still helps kids plan out their week and not be doing homework until 2 in the morning.
Thank you. For Xian, Ying, so you were freshman caucus presidents and you were running for sophomore caucus presidents. I know you mentioned that communication was your weakness, but are there any other weaknesses that you had, and how would you improve on them in the coming school year?
Right. So we believe another weakness would be communication with the administration. That was, we believe, very difficult at the beginning. However, we started to pick it up towards the middle, where we would have more meetings with the upperclassmen caucuses, and also to host more meetings with the administration, such as Mr. Yu and Mr. Moran. This is what we want to push more for next year as well, and then hopefully have monthly meetings with Mr. Yu where we can address our events and policies that we want to host for sophomore year, which supports our policy system, where we want to address the policies that students want to see changed and bring them to the school.
Okay, thank you. You, Marcus, can you elaborate on your monthly live stream talking about an important issue at Sci? How would it work, and how would you ensure you will be presenting accurate info to the student body?
Okay, so first of all, we would be surveying the student body each month and asking them what they would like to talk about, and we would have votes, and whoever gets the highest, whatever topic, that's the topic that we would discuss, and using connections outside, whether that be like through our teachers or anyone else we might be able to bring in like a special guest. And we also have lots of speakers already, and because a lot of teachers have said that they would talk, and also our parents are both involved in mental health, and we want to allow the students to feel as if they have a say in what goes on during the SU, and we think that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Olivia and Sally, how would you convince students to use another platform, IdeaNote, to anonymously submit their issues?
Well, you mentioned in the email, basically. It's pretty straightforward, and we feel that when a student is really passionate about an idea or issue they have, they will post it. And when other students go on that same platform and read the most recent or most popular submissions, they can choose whether or not they agree with that and whether they want to go through the small task of bumping it.
Yeah. Also, we really make that the forefront of our campaign in week 1. We would allow it to be like our first email we sent out, because we really want to separate from the email
Thank you. Talking to the teacher. Thank you.
Well,
You can start.
Well, sometimes students, don't really feel the most comfortable talking up front with their teachers. So this is just a way for them to confess their problems without, actually having to speak face to face. Because I know, like, especially from personal experience, it is sort of intimidating to actually go and talk to your teachers one-on-one.
It can be really scary to think that your teachers might hold a grudge against you after you complain to them. Personally, throughout middle school and high school, I have seen my friends and I personally have been sort of like persecuted for making complaints and speaking out against teachers, and we want to avoid that like horrible like alternative.
Okay, thank you. And then for Berk, Cyrus, some events you want to host include Halloween candygrams and Easter egg hunts, but these are events in which the SU traditionally spearheads annually. How would yours be different from theirs?
Well, we can incorporate different ideas into our events that differ from the SU's ideas. We could sort of add interesting new parts to the events that we're planning, like new add-ons basically. Like the SU, they might have like Halloween grams, but we might have like a different way to do it. We could have like messages, candies.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so since we are running out of time, we're just gonna go straight to ticket questions. So does any ticket want to go first, and make sure to address it to the other ticket? Olivia, Sally?
So Adrian and Aditya mentioned praying room, but Sally and I actually went about researching that and found that the DOE likes to stay secular in school, meaning we can't mix school and religion. So how do you go about spearheading that?
We've gotten a lot of questions about that, so I'm glad it came up. I think that obviously we're not trying to insinuate that we would like formally create a room that's like, here you can pray now. That's obviously against DOE policy, and we don't think that's remotely feasible. I think that the alternative that we propose in our document is that you instead set up a sort of private space where people can go for when they need private and quiet, right? Whether that be in an empty gym or the teacher cafeteria. We think that there's many options for this, but nonetheless, the point is that this is a place where people don't go explicitly to pray, but rather for any sort of private, or if you need like some sort of calm space to do anything. We think that that's the purpose that this would serve, and we obviously wouldn't stop anyone from going there if they wanted to pray, right? Well, we're not explicitly making a prayer room. Rather, we're trying to make a room which people can use for various things, and that way, if people who need to pray, this room will be able to create a space which they can do this, but it won't explicitly go against DOE policy.
Just to clarify what prayer room is, it's a room where everyone can go if they wish to pray, and we're not forcing anyone to go there and pray. And we know this is feasible because we've reached out, and Brooklyn Tech already has something similar to this, where they have a hallway where students can go and pray. And so, and we've also reached out to administration, and we've gotten information that the teachers cafeteria is a candidate for the prayer room. So we have reached out, and we do know that it's feasible.
Okay, thank you. Any other ticket? Berk, Cyrus?
Well, I would like to address a question to Sojo about the escalator policy. You said that you would reverse the escalators, right? But from personal experience, when the escalators are not working, I'm going there, I see that there's no one there to fix the escalator. And if you were to reverse the escalator, who would be there to do it?
So actually, we're talking to Ms. Liang about this, and if you notice, whenever there's a problem with the escalator, there's a company that comes and fixes them, and they've been working with us, and actually, the school has a pretty big discount with them, and what we're doing basically is having, instead of having to work really hard to fix one of the escalators, all they need to do is change one of them to us. It's actually saving them work and actually making us not have to go up the stairs.
Okay, thank you. Any other ticket would like to ask a question to another ticket?
We have another question, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
Zoey and Josephine did mention the 5-minute slow bell policy to add on to their campaign, but I and Salioudian did also go into that for research, and Salioudian found out something.
So essentially, I figured out that under that policy, the scanner ladies need the time to have their lunch, and one of the main reasons why they have the 5-minute until bell policy is because that allows them a 3-minute period to have a break because under New York City law, if you work for 90 plus hours, you need that 40-minute period. So that not only would it be really feasible, but it would not make sense. So I really just want to ask Zoey and Josephine how they would go about doing that.
Unfortunately, despite the idea that we want to break, they are not all working at the same time and we often switch out. There are only 4 standards and definitely more than that as in the school, so they definitely get breaks other than when they are in the middle of the period. And as well as the fact that you don't need all Xianers to be being worked at for people to come in during the period, considering you really only need one person to be there, but all of you who are there, that's fine too. But I don't think that them needing a lunch break is what would be restricted with our policy. They would still have a lunch break.
And we also went to research this on our own, and what the scanner lady said is that it's because if students come in the middle of a period, then when they're walking around the halls, it causes a lot of noise for the students in the classrooms. So what we proposed to, I guess, resolve this is just like a trial period to test it out and see how it turns out.
Okay, thank you. Does any other ticket have a question? Baerga.
This is addressed to Adrian and Aditya. Sorry for distracting. A lot of your policies, like the homework policy for the week and the mental health day, seem to be really demanding on teachers, whether that be through making them propose a whole lesson at the beginning of the week, or for mental health days, departments can be suffering from the fact that one day out of maybe 2 a week might be intercepted by the fact that there's a day where students can't do much work. How will you address these?
I think that the important point here is that we're not actually changing much of what the teachers do, right? That is, any teacher at the beginning of their week does plan out what they're going to do that week. It's just a matter of then sharing that with the students, which isn't really a huge burden. The second point as to mental health days, we think that there's obviously days in every department where teachers aren't going to give homework. We're not telling, right, and we obviously probably wouldn't make a formal policy saying you can't do any homework here. We're going to try and set up some sort of tradition where teachers can say, look, I have 4 homework assignments for this week. Let's just change them around such that on this specific Friday there's not a homework assignment or something like that, right? We're not actually changing the sort of teaching that we do. And I think that the other important point here is that even if this policy isn't entirely successful, it still makes a big difference. Even if just one of your teachers tells you when your homework assignments are going to be, that still helps you better plan your week. Even if 2 of your teachers don't give you homework on a given day, that's still an hour more of sleep that you're getting or an hour more that you're getting with your friends. So we think that the important thing about these policies is that they can still help the sophomore student body, even if we can't fully implement them.
Yeah, and just to add on a little, so the mental health days, along with asking teachers and requesting teachers to assign less homework than usual, it also involves holding mental health seminars or talks and other ideas that can help sophomores address their own mental health, and they can help them reflect on their mental health.
Okay, thank you. Some tickets haven't asked a question. Would they like to go? Okay, after these 2, we'll move on to closing statements. You, Marcus.
Okay, for Sally and Olivia, so you talk about this new platform that you want to enforce, but how would this new platform be particularly beneficial if it's simply just another platform that students need to check, and a lot of students may not be willing to get it because it's basically Facebook platform?
It's actually not similar to Facebook at all because you don't need an account for it. It's completely anonymous, which makes it even better because if you have something personal that you want to report, then you don't have to have your name attached to it. Also, it's so much less tedious than Google Forms because Google Forms is associated with things like quizzes and tests and work and just long and you have to scroll through it. Idea Note is simple and you can post whatever you want.
Okay, thank you. And then Xian, Ying, you had a question.
So our question is for the Yang Baerga ticket. So we see that you guys have a classroom reserving policy, but this is already a policy within the SU for the clubs and clubs. Just all the teams within Stuyvesant, they have a system where they can reserve rooms. So how is yours policy different?
The main thing is, once again, we're communicating with the student body itself. We would like to actually allow friend groups and smaller group gatherings to actually meet and decide to rent out a classroom rather than having only clubs be accessible to this resource. And we kind of just want to make it more available to everybody.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, it's really not for clubs, it's more for like the individual students. Like we, like personally have had a lot of group projects that, you know, took a lot longer than what we needed, and we haven't really been able to find places to meet up and stuff, so it's just
We're gonna move on to closing statements. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we're gonna start from right to left. Aditya and Adrian, you can begin your closing statements.
So we'd like to just restate some of our main points and about how we're already reaching out to our peers and how we've already started to gather information from faculty and our peers. Shows how dedicated we are to making a difference and to helping you, the sophomore student body. In addition, we have the experience that is required for this role in both government positions and speaking, and debate speaking and public speaking. In addition, we've already established the feasibility of our policies and of the events that we'd like to hold. And this action of putting ourselves in the shoes of already sophomore caucus presidents allows us to plan out how we would. It allows us to plan out our year and how we would take our steps forward.
I think that fundamentally, look, when you look at all these candidates here, we all have events, we all have policies. What sets ours apart is that if you go on a doc and you look at our policies, you're going to see exactly what we're going to do, right? We set out not only how we're going to try and achieve all these things, but also how achievable each of these things are, right? You can do the math in your head of exactly what you're going to see at the beginning of our, if we were to get elected, what we do at the beginning and what we continue to do throughout the year, right? We think that we offer you a clear picture of this than any other platform here, and yeah.
So we remind you to vote the AA ticket.
Okay, thank you, Xian, Ying.
As a recap, Finn and I are the current freshman caucus co-presidents, and with the 1 year of experience, we have the knowledge of what caucus has, the limitations we have, and from that, we build our sophomore caucus platform on that so that we can express your voice and you can express your voice to us so that we can better implement them. Everyone here does indeed have great policies and great ways to implement them. And we believe that we actually have better ways to implement them because we actually have experience with talking with the administration and holding these meets with Mr. Yu and Mr. Rand to see how truly it goes on with the caucus.
Additionally, we've been using this year to build connections with the administration so that we understand that they will be fully backing us on all the ideas that we can have and plan on implementing.
Yeah. So please vote for Xian Ying ticket and we'll find fix and further your concepts. Thank you.
Thank you. You, Marcus?
Just one final point that we want to make is we want to prioritize the experience and not the money and incentives. So we don't want to have to incentivize students to come to SU events. So say like junior caucus is $80 per person. Junior prom is $80 per person because of the yacht venue, but we want to cap it at the max of 40 for sophomores and prioritize the experience of it rather than the place. So something nice like a roof or a terrace at night under the stars, or by a river at night with lots of decorations to set a nice mood.
We are the best ticket for the future Sophomore Caucus. The right choice, the right change. We have more than just experience, fast-talking debate skills, and the same old events. If you made it this far, we congratulate you and remind you, vote on next Friday, June 3rd for Zoey Marcus and Josephine Yu. You should Marcus #1.
Thank you. Olivia and Sally?
So essentially, just to recap, once again, we have our 5 pillars. Our pillars are being goal-oriented, reliable, efficient, authentic, and tenacious. And all of these just are not only policies we have in mind or things how we want to shape our campaign. It relates to us personally. All of these qualities are things we've called, people have expressed, and people have really highlighted throughout us. So that I think sets us apart because not only are we attempting to give policies and make events for everyone, but we also are relatable and we also highlight like all of our feasibility and we communicate authentically with the sophomore caucus.
Thank you. Liang, Baerga?
Unlike the rest of the tickets, we want to be focused on being the middleman, the freshman that the caucus is supposed to be. So we want to, rather than like citing specific events and policies, we want to ask your opinion on it, and we want to like make everything more accessible to you and make the caucus more approachable and easy to see. We want to be able to show you that our policies are actually like achievable and not out of the ground.
Yeah, and just to add on, like Collin said, we want to be like the middleman because we know we don't hold all the power in the school, but we know we're in this special position where we relay what the student body wants with the administrators, and hopefully we can help, get more of what the students want done. And we really think we're gonna enjoy being president if we get elected. So we really just hope that people will enjoy it with us. And yeah, please vote for us. We would really appreciate it.
Thank you. Berk, Cyrus.
Well, our policies are really for the students' well-being based, and the events that we have planned are also gets the students engaged, let them see what they want to see, and overall we're just here for the students' well-being and everyday life, and vote for us.
Okay, thank you so much for all the tickets that showed up today. As a reminder, voting day is June 3rd. Please follow our Instagram, StyBOE, and thank you everyone for coming.